Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome back. I am very sorry for the delay in video, but I have just been waiting on this cylinder head for the bike to come back. But what can I say other than it is here? So let's take a look at this beautiful head that we had ported by Lansdowne Family Racing and then took to a machine shop and milled 30,000s from. Alright guys, here it is. Here is the head I have been waiting so long for, and maybe some of you have been waiting to see these results. I just got it back from the machine shop. Everything has been port matched. Everything has been polished. It is just a phenomenal head. I cannot wait to get it on the bike. However, I want to look over the head so you guys can know what to expect if you go the same route that I do, that I have done. And what I've done is I've actually sent this head out to Lansdowne Family Racing. I'll put a link to him in the description to port the head for me. It was $200 for port and polish, and I think that's a great price for the work that he did. He polished the combustion chamber, polished the exhaust port, and ported obviously the intake and the exhaust port. And he port matched even to my intake and to my carburetor, so there is a perfect port match between carburetor to intake to cylinder head, straight to the valve, straight to make power. So I cannot thank him enough for that. He does phenomenal work. And without further ado, let's take a look at inside this head. So here, we're starting to look at the exhaust port here, all right? And just look at that. You can actually see the valve guide. He knocked down so much of that material. It is going to flow a crap ton better. Excuse the red flashing light from the GoPro. Sorry about that, but that thing is just awesome. And he even port matched a crushed gasket that I had from the exhaust. I have a new one to put on, but he port matched that as well. So everything is ready to go and set. So then let's take a look at the intake side. And you can already tell how good it looks even without the light. But look at that. That is just absolutely beautiful. And it is cut in a way so when the fuel goes through here, through the carburetor, it is going to atomize the fuel better. And it is going to go straight into that combustion chamber and is going to make power. He knocked down a decent amount of material on this. It just looks phenomenal. I can't get over looking at it. I'm so excited to get on the bike. And then the last little bit, we can take a look at the combustion chamber. You can tell that it's been milled. So I milled 30,000s on it. Some people have milled 40,000s, but I wanted to kind of go in between. The safe was like 20,000s, extreme was 40,000s. I was like, you know what, let's get best of both worlds there. Let's go 30,000s. So that should bump my compression up. If you guys know what compression ratio that it is now, milling 30,000s, please let me know in the description, because I'm not sure how to go about that math to figure out what compression the bike has now. I'm pretty sure stock it had 9-to-1 compression on these things. So if you could tell me in the link below or the description below, or I'm sorry, in the comments below, if you can tell me what compression the bike has now, I'd love to know and would really appreciate your help. But in the rest of today's video, we are going to be installing this head. I'm going to try to go through it rather quickly. There's a lot of other videos that show this process a little better than probably what I can do. Still very new to the YouTube community, and I appreciate and love all you guys. But without further ado, let us install this head and get this bike running today. Alright guys, so the first thing you want to do is lay out all your parts in a clean, safe area near the bike. And you want to lay out your tools. And so all you're going to need for this is a 3/8" ratchet, a 10mm, and a 12mm socket, and a flathead screwdriver. And that's basically all you need to install all of this. And here I have both the intakes. So let's take a look at these guys here. As you can tell, there is a major difference between the two. I cut this one shorter, like right at the ridge here. And then I actually angled it. So this is angled at a steeper angle than this one. So you can see that is the angle of that one. Here is the angle of this one. It's a much steeper angle because I didn't want the carburetor to be hitting the frame. So if you want to do this nibby on your TBR7, I'm not sure if it's different on Hawks, but I'm pretty sure for the TBR7, you will have to modify that intake, and you must get it port matched, because the moment you cut this, it will no longer be port matched to the carburetor, and you'll have to report match the intake to the carburetor, or else you're going to have major flow restriction, and you'll have almost 0 point in porting your head and doing all this work for nothing. So you have to do that, and that's just to give you an idea of what I had to do to make it work correctly. So lay out all these things, make sure your bike is ready, and I'm actually going to be swapping out this head gasket because it had a little bit of damage in a couple spots, and I have new head gaskets and they're cheap. So the first thing you're going to want to do is replace this head gasket. So now with the head gasket off, you can barely see, but there's a little bit of head gasket material remaining. You want to make sure you remove that, because that can cause a bad seal and your new head gasket will not seal on the cylinder to the head. So what you want to do is take a fine razor blade and ever so gently, don't scourge the cylinder or anything, just gently rub it along it until most of it comes off, and then you can get the rest of it off with, say, your finger. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, clean it up, and install the new head gasket. Alright, so once you get your head gasket on, just go ahead, plop your head down on. And the next thing we're going to do is install the head bolts, alright? Now, you're going to want to do this in 2 stages. So, the 4 main head bolts and the outside one, you're going to want to torque down to 10 foot-pounds for the first stage. Now, make sure you do this in a crisscross pattern and then do the outside one last. And then the second stage, these 4 are going to be going from 10 foot-pounds to 25 foot-pounds, okay? And then this one's going from 10 to 20 foot-pounds. And make sure you do the same crisscross pattern as you did before. And then after we get the head nuts in to hold down the head, we're going to just lightly oil everything before we put the valve train back on. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so I tightened this down 10 foot-pounds to 25 foot-pounds, and then 10 foot-pounds to 20 foot-pounds on this. And that should be all you need. And then now we're just going to oil this up, and then we'll go ahead and place the valve train on, and then we'll torque those down to spec as well. Alright, so I went ahead and put the push rods in, and then the valve train all back on, and I tightened these 3 down to 20 foot-pounds, starting from the middle one. I did kind of like a 2-stage again. I did 10, 10, 10, 10, and then 20, 20, 20. And then I checked them all twice just to make sure they're all even, they're all good. A little side note, make sure you loosen your valve clearances, you know, plenty enough, because if you do mill your head, it's going to be out of adjustment by a lot. So you're going to need to loosen those completely, and then we'll have to redo that as well. But for now, you're going to want to put on a glove, get some oil, just rub everything down, get everything a little lubricated, so, you know, upon first startup, nothing gets hurt. It's always good to be cautious. And then after that, we shall do our valve adjustment to 0.0, so 30 thousandths, I'm pretty sure. 0.03 for your valve adjustment. And then we'll put the valve cover back on, bolt that up, and then put the whole bike together, and then it'll be up and running. Alright guys, so we got everything on. We tightened down the top motor mount, and then all you gotta do is put the valve cover back on and put the rest of the bike back on. You can reference one of my old videos when I tore down the whole thing, see the sizes for the header bolts and all that. But I'm gonna go ahead and put the rest of the bike together, and then we'll see if it fires up. Alright guys, well, bike's all back together. I know you want me to start it up, and I will here for you, but we ran into one little problem, and that is the throttle cable. The throttle cable does not have enough adjustment in it to be able to get down to idle. It's hanging up the RPMs, and it's staying right at about 4 grand. And I'll show you that here, but let me tell you what, I can already tell this ported polished head is going to be a huge difference. And that's where it sits as of now. So I have to get that fixed. I'm going to have to either figure out some more adjustment I can make somewhere. I already checked the line. It's not hung up anywhere. It's going straight to the carburetor. But we're going to have to try to find either a line with more adjustment, because I think the Nibby has more of a reach than the Mikuni did. so it has more throttle twist. So hopefully we can get that fixed the next day. All right, guys, as you can see, it is completely dark outside, but we fixed the throttle cable. So here, take a look. We chopped about this much off of the actual throttle cable. I'd say it was about 3/4 of an inch. Now we have just a little bit of slop, so it's not holding up the thing, and I can still adjust this. This is all the way in. But check it out, guys. Tuning's not good, but it's a runner. Look at that. Nibby carburetor. Ported polished head. I did go ahead and get a non-resistor boot, but I need a longer wire for that. But everything is running perfect. There's no leaks anywhere. And it sounds good. Like, boy, does it sound good. Everything's just awesome. Next video coming at you, tuning and performance results. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good